Good morning, everyone, or is it good afternoon? We are back again this week on a lovely Monday. I hope you are all safe and sound wherever you are. Today, I'm going to talk about what looks like good news for migrants, especially in South Africa, especially those who have been legally in South Africa for more than 5 years. Because the Department of Home Affairs recently reopened applications for permanent residency in South Africa for those migrants that qualify. So you are now able to apply for your permanent residence status in the country. You will remember that it's been 2 years since the last applications were opened, which means that for 2 years, those who qualified and those who've been qualifying could not apply for permanent residency. And the department has now reopened that because they had to deal with 33,000 applications which were worsened by COVID-19 pandemic. So they had a backlog of more than 33,000 applications. They've now dealt with that. So now people can start applying, but you don't just apply. There are some there's a criteria that you must first satisfy. I'm going to read out some of the things that you need to satisfy, or some of the things that you need to know before you can make your application, so that you do not get to waste your time and energy, as well as resources trying to apply for this. So I'm going to go through this. You find this in the South African Department of Home Affairs website as well, for those who have access to internet or who have access to this website. So I'm going to go through it, then you will check if you do qualify. The application for permanent residency is considered in terms of Section 26, which is direct residency permits, and Section 27, residency on other grounds permit of the Immigration Act of 2002, which is Act number 13 of 2002, and is read with Regulation 33 of the Immigration Regulations. In terms of granting permanent residency permits, emphasis is placed on immigrants who are on a position to make a meaningful contribution to broadening the economic base of South Africa. But there are some prohibitions, and I'm going to go through those. There's around 5 of them. You may be considered a prohibited person if, number one, you are infected with infectious diseases that can spread easily. These diseases include cholera, pestilence, yellow fever, and any other diseases as determined by the Department of Health from time to time. You have, or if you have a warrant of arrest against you, or a conviction for genocide, torture, drug trafficking, money laundering, kidnapping, terrorism, or murder secured in South Africa or any country with which South Africa has regular diplomatic relations. Number 3, if you are a member or supporter of an organization practicing racial hatred or social violence. Number 4, you may be considered a prohibited person if you are a member of an organization using crime or terrorism to reach its goals. You know that there are some organizations that have been prescribed as terrorist organizations. Number 5, if you have previously been deported and have not been rehabilitated by the department in the prescribed manner. So you cannot be allowed or be granted permanent residence if you are in any one of those 5 that I've read out. So in order for you to make an application for permanent residency permit, applicants must first submit representation to the Minister of Home Affairs motivating why he or she should be declared not to be a prohibited person or an undesirable person in South Africa. Then you may be deemed rehabilitated if, number 1, you submit a sworn affidavit or solemn declaration that you will comply with the Act, which is the Immigration Act, or if the department has no reason to believe that you are inclined to violate the Act again, that is for a rehabilitated offender, or if you have not been inside the Republic of South Africa for a period of 4 years or more after the prohibition, that is, or if alternatively you may be deemed to be rehabilitated by a forfeiture to the state of 50,000 rands, which may be reduced to 2,000 rands if you paid for the cost of your deportation as well as other related costs. Then there is a section which deals with undesirable persons. So there is a classification again. You may be deemed to be an undesirable person if you are or are likely to become a public charge, or if you are identified by the minister after consultation with the Immigration Advisory Board as undesirable, or you have been judicially declared incompetent. The other area is when you are an unrehabilitated insolvent, or you are a fugitive from justice. Then the last one, if you have a previous criminal conviction without the option of a fine for a conduct which would be an offense in South Africa, with the exclusion of certain prescribed offenses. So in order for you to make an application for permanent residency permit, you must first submit representation to the Minister of Home Affairs motivating why he or she should be declared, why you should be declared not to be a prohibited person or an undesirable person. It is only after the Minister of Home Affairs has declared you a prospective applicant of not being a prohibited or undesirable person that an application for permanent residency status can be submitted by you. Once you have received a positive response from the Minister of Home Affairs, you may then submit an application for either a direct residency permit or a residency on other grounds permit. For a direct resident permit, you need to be a foreigner who has been residing in South Africa on the basis of a work permit for a minimum period of 5 years, or and your spouse has also been a dependent of a South African citizen, permanent residence, or permit holder. So if you are a spouse or someone who has this kind of a permit, then you can apply for a permanent residence permit. To apply directly for a direct permit, you need to complete form BI 947. Then if you are applying for residency on other grounds, you need to, this is a category that applies for foreigners who are in possession of a permanent work offer in South Africa, or have exceptional skills and qualifications, or intend to establish a business in South Africa, qualify as refugees in terms of Section 27C of the Refugees Act, qualify as retired persons, are financially independent, or are relatives of a South African citizen or permanent residence permit holder. Then lastly, in addition to completing and submitting Form BI 947, you must also provide the following documentation: a full set of fingerprints, a marriage certificate, or proof of spousal relationship if applicable, a divorce decree or proof of legal separation if applicable, proof of custody of a minor if applicable, a death certificate for a late spouse if applicable, the consent of parents in the case of minors, proof of judicial adoption of a minor if applicable, police clearance certificates for all countries in which you resided for a period of 1 year or longer since you turned 18, a valid temporary residence permit if already in South Africa. Additional documents are applicable to the different immigration categories, and these are listed in the permanent residence application form BI 947. So I hope you have understood the requirements there, but if you didn't, you can also go to the South African Home Affairs Department's website. These things are listed there, but we have to be very clear here. If you are on a Zimbabwe exemption permit, you do not qualify to apply for the permanent residence permit in South Africa. It doesn't matter that you've been here for 12 years or more than 5 years as is required by the Immigration Act, because the Zimbabwe exemption permit it came as a result of political goodwill from the South African government, and it was done outside the South African Immigration Act. So it's only those who have been here using other permits other than the Zimbabwe exemption permit who qualified. So do not listen to those that are going to tell you that even if you have a ZEP, you can apply for this and they're going to charge you for something that they're not going to even deliver for you. So thank you very much. We will continue to give you more information about the Home Affairs issues as and when we get them, and other migration issues as and when we come across them. But for now, we believe that this is going to, in a way, better the lives of those migrants who've been living in South Africa, wishing to apply for permanent residence permit status. We hope that you're going to take advantage of this and apply before the next backlog, because right now we believe that the old backlog has been dealt with. Continue to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it to help others so that we do not continue to be speaking about the same issue over and over again. Thank you very much. My name is Mxolisi Ncube. I'm a journalist based in Johannesburg, South Africa.